It seems like they feel this connection. So how could they feel what I feel and still choose the old way of being, the old life? Like, how is it even possible? I think is really the question, right? If you're here, give this video a like. I've already blessed and shuffled all the decks because I'm also, after this, going to be going live on Awakening Divine and doing a feminine reading. So if you're interested, then wait till the end of this video and it should send you directly there, okay? Let me make sure of one more thing. I cannot tell if anyone's here. Sometimes I just keep going, but sometimes the video will be deleted or not actually show or never come if I just keep going. So it makes me nervous. Hopefully someone's here. Oh, goodness gracious. All right. I'm going to lay out a spread. I have our clarifiers here in case we need them, but let's go ahead and get a spread laid out. All right. We are using the Shadow Man and Whiskey decks today. You can always find all the decks we use in the description. So what do we need to know today about the Divine Masculine? How can we answer this question? Oh, come back. How many is that? That's multiples. All right. Oh, okay. So there we go. We have that. I guess let's look at this last. Okay, and then whoop. Oh, that's 4. Wow. Wow. Okay, right out. All right, everybody. We're going to explore some energy today that is going to be very heavy. These decks, and I like to say this from time to time, just as a quick reminder for those of you who are new to tarot or have been doing it for a while and kind of forget this stuff, but be aware that as a reader, I am choosing the decks, right? I am following energies and saying, this is what we're supposed to use, this is what we're supposed to do. So these 2 decks are very rough. Sometimes readers will ask rough questions and pull from rough decks and act surprised when the answers are rough. So I want you to be aware that that's kind of the opposite approach to what I take, and be prepared that it's going to be heavy, but also with reason. We're using decks that are going to bring that. Okay, so I just want to make sure everybody's clear on that, because sometimes I try to do things in a more positive or uplifting way, but there are certain energies where we do just got to get real. All right. So let's go ahead and dive in here. If you are here, please like the video because it says there's only 1 like, and I think that was my like. All right. First thing you need to know about where your person is mentally when it comes to what causes them to choose to just stay the same or avoid change or go back to their old life. What do you need to know about this person? Okay. Sheesh. Living in a world of unrealistic fantasies, neglecting genuine emotional connections. I mean, you can't get more direct. All right, we're in the right space. We're in the right energy. We have the right cards, obviously. We're asking questions about the connection. The first card that comes out says, look, they live in a delusion. They live in a delusion. And we are so used to hearing like, oh, she's Delulu, he's Delulu. They're doing this specific thing. And oh, all delusional people think and do the same things. But I want you to remove your first instinct about the delusional aspect of your person. Remove it real quick, because that may just be a social or cultural thing, right? Ask yourself honestly, because you know full well that you probably, most of us would not look at our person and be like, oh yeah, they're delusional. Like that. No, that's not the first thing we're going to say about them. But I think the aspect of the delusion, or even the insanity, right, where you're doing the same thing and expecting a different result, where is it that they are most in denial? Because that can show you their delusion. I think that in the grand scheme, most of the divine masculines, their delusion and their denial, everything is connected directly to them lying to themselves that they're happy. It's like if you ask them directly, are you happy? You don't seem happy. They're going to say, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm happy. But everything they say, everything they do, everything they experience, the way they perceive life is coming from that place of negativity and misery. And it's usually the reason why they say, oh, we won't work. And I think this gives so much answer. Living in a world of unrealistic fantasies while neglecting genuine emotional connection says they may be even directly pursuing the fantasy, the lie, the delusion, because genuine emotional connections frighten them, overwhelm them, or most of all, point them to themselves, where they've got to sit for a moment and ask themselves, like, what's wrong with me? What am I doing here? Why am I doing things this way? And that's a big no-no for someone who wants to avoid things. And I got to tell you, there's a reason why so many people in the twin flame space, but I think also just seekers of wisdom where love is concerned who seek tarot, there's a lot. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't watch enough tarot to know this, right? I don't watch any tarot. But when I did, it kind of feels like I'm picking up on the same energy now as a reader. For some reason, whether it's the psychology and the avoidance, or there's the shadow work, the inner child, the ego, for some reason, there is a very big common denominator between all of our divine masculines, and it is the immaturity. It's the one thing across every reading. You've even heard me over the years say things like, there's different ways of, or different levels or areas of maturity. So when we say immature, sometimes there can be a defensiveness about our divine masculines. Most of the time, no. Most of the time we're like, yep. But sometimes there can, because it's like, well, they're not like completely childish. But the truth is, where relationships are concerned, typically where mental health is concerned, our divine masculines are completely in denial. And it's funny that these two things are directly connected. There is so much data that shows that people who are well loved, who are supported, who have their basic needs met, are less likely to develop psychological issues, whether that's from youth or even in their adult years, that they are able to come back better from trauma. Da, 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 da. So it's interesting that the divine masculines as a whole run from the one thing that could bring them what they want, that could bring them the internal peace that would allow them to pursue the external peace, instead of, this is a grown man here. There are images in this where you can see a child or like a woman or whatever. This, to me, it could have been a child with all the like kind of game stuff going on around it. Yeah, Superman, Spider-Man, all this stuff. But no, it's showing a grown man kind of sitting in this very vulnerable position, barefoot. The gray is on this person, to kind of give us this image of, they have this arrested development. And all of us need to understand, wherever we're coming from, the common denominator in why we can't be together is because most, if not all, of our divine masculines refuse to mature fully. They're okay with having a couple, if they're a flower, they're okay with having a couple petals that don't look right. They're okay with never finding fulfillment because they are comfortable. But the reason that I have these two different decks here is because I feel like we know this stuff already, to be real. I mean, the first card comes out and basically just spits out the title of the reading. We get it. Okay. But why? Why? What is it that makes this person do this? Run, ignore, avoid? What do we need to understand? Wow. The unworthy man, the belief that you are not enough, feeds the cycle. And it's very interesting. This is the unworthy man. And I'm sitting here kind of talking about this grown man, right, in the image. And you think about it, in this image, there's all this like superheroes. There's like a woman here. I think that's probably about relationships. And I do think this is probably talking more about the more common distraction that men nowadays might use, or masculine energies might use, which is video games or sports or cult followings like the Marvel, okay. But I think that what this is really saying is, I pursue these other things to comfort me because I don't think I'm enough. And what was I saying before about the emotional connection being the thing that even in science is said, like, if a person has support, they can heal. And you've got this person who's they're cycling through, unable to heal, unable to grow, unable to fully develop into the divine masculine they're meant to be. And some of them, even their whole deeper self is lying dormant beneath everything else, right? So there's something here that says they don't think they're worthy. They don't think they're worthy of you. They don't think they're worthy of the things that they want to pursue. And if we take a step back from that, that's a human thing. I don't think it's a coincidence that masculines in particular are affected by certain things and divine feminines in particular are affected by other things. I think that if I were an enemy of someone's soul and I wanted to quit them really, really bad, I would go after the thing that everyone around them says should be better or higher or whatever. And that's where so many of us as divine feminines, I don't think that we're as fearful of success in life as we are fearful of success in love. Some of you are going to reject that, and that's okay. Maybe you're not. But some of you are going to say, wait, wait, wait. Fear of success. Okay, I've heard of that. Fear of success in life. That's where I've heard of it. But what do you mean fear of success in love? And the question is, what if it all does work out, divine feminine? What if you actually get together? And I think the reason so many of us have that fear is because of the immaturities or the childlike nature of our person, the cycle that they cannot get themselves out of. And it makes us feel like I shouldn't even desire. I shouldn't even bother. Why do I think I even could have love? Like, if this is the person I love and they're never going to change, we start to internalize their rejection and we start to see it in other ways. And it turns into a fear of the thing we desire. And so there's a lot of energy in our space that is ignored or manipulated or capitalized on. And it doesn't have to be our divine masculine. But you know what's interesting? As we are manipulated in these spaces by people who either don't mean well or don't know what they're doing or being led by darkness, we start to treat our divine masculine, the person we have in us, the memory we have in us, like they're the ones doing the harm. The only harm most of our divine masculines are doing is either staying in no contact or, not speaking, whatever, maybe breaking promises like, oh, hey, I'll be there, and then I didn't come, so they're disappointing us. But in terms of like actively harming us in some way, it's not happening. We're in separation. And so it's very interesting how this shows up. And we can see the divine masculine, but as a reader and as someone who works with twin flames around the world, I see what's happening to the collective. The disappointment that we feel because this is them. This is what they pursue. They pursue this lie. And now we have imposter syndrome. Our spiritual journey is being affected. We're starting to question divine. Again, the stronger that you get, the more powerful that you are, the more you align with divine. This is not as true for you. But remember, in my ministry, I invite people who are in, let's say, energy signature 1 or even energy signature 2 in the journey of twin flame reunion to come in and shift into energy signature 3 so that they can then move on with their person or with their ministry or whatever divine is calling them to do. So I want you to recognize, if you're one of those higher level divine feminines and you're stopping by, or you're one of our OGs that sticks around the channel specifically for the purpose of helping other divine feminines find their way, of course it's not going to resonate with you. But most of us know this feeling. Most of us know, especially if it's been years, what this has done to us. So take a moment and reflect on that. If that's what they're cycling through, this delusion and denial has done to us, what is years, maybe even decades of living like this done to them? All we're really experiencing is a portion of their energy, but that ickiness that you feel all the time where they're concerned is their energy. It's icky. It's gross. I get it. What do we need to understand about this unworthy feeling? The belief that you're unworthy weaves itself into your thoughts, feeding self-doubt. Through kindness towards yourself, you can rebuild a foundation of confidence and embrace your inherent value. I think that our divine masculines are experiencing the most likely challenge for their collective. As divine feminines, our challenges are more than likely going to be spiritual, right? The spiritual journey, us learning our intuition, discerning how to integrate things, right? We're the 5D soul of the yin yang whole. They're the 3D soul. They're worried about the world around them. They're in the same way we're learning to navigate the spiritual world, they're learning to navigate the physical. And they're having to figure out where we look to divine and we compare ourselves to angels and star seeds and galactic warriors. And we're like, oh man, I really need to step my game up. They're looking around at the people around them who are strong, certain. They're looking at the true masculine traits and energies in others. And they're going, man, I am not that. What's wrong with me? And then they're avoiding it. You avoid your gifts, you avoid your light work, you avoid your soul mission and all the things you're meant to conquer. They avoid the physical world, their relationships, their dynamics, everything that they're meant to do so that they can conquer their goal. This to me is textbook twin flames. I'm not really surprised by what I'm seeing, but there's a reason we're here. And that is so that you can better understand what it is you need to know, what you're missing about this. So, all right, the first answer to this question of how could they feel this connection and still choose the old life? Well, friends, it's not just your connection they do that with. Does that make sense? Because this is one of the things that I think that we as readers need to be more clear about, and we are doing a disservice to you when we're not speaking about this kind of stuff. It's not always about you. It's not always an insult to you. It's not always directed at you. And I think that there are a lot of people who say it is. But that's not fair and that's not accurate. Because my question to you is, if your person was like nice and loving and everything, happy with everybody but you, what the hell kind of relationship are you even describing? No, your person is probably a poopy person the way they are to you, in the same way to everybody else, and worse to themselves. All right, what else do we need to know? What else is happening that's causing them to avoid the depth of the connection, to avoid their feelings, to stay in the old way? The withholding affection or love as a means of punishment and manipulation. I think that your divine masculine feels punished by you, and so they want to punish you back. Again, some of you have absolutely gone out of your way to try to hurt your person, and you've bragged about it. I see it in the comments all the time. I get that. You're probably an energy signature 1. You've probably been encouraged to do that. By the time you hit energy signature 2, you're in a different place, all right? But I know there are going to be some who are like, well, yeah. But most of my clients and friends are not actually trying to do anything but love their person, legitimately. Some of us even spend our time in separation working really, really, really hard on ourselves so that we can be the best possible partner we can be to them, and not, let any of our old stuff create problems, So the question then is, why do they feel the need to punish you? And I hope that if there's anybody here who's willing to answer that, share it. What is it about your experiences together or your past where they felt like you tried to hurt them? Okay. I remember early on in my relationship with Mr. Lightwork learning that he was very offended by the fact that I didn't do a good enough job explaining the spiritual space. And he thought that if he just woke up one day and decided to be a better person, that would mean everything would be better. Which again, like, that's crazy, right? But at the same time, like, I'm presenting this really powerful, magical, incredible thing. It's not that crazy that he would think, well, you seem to really believe this. You seem to be walking in this. Maybe it's true. Maybe I should try. I never really told him, like, hey, you're going to have to live with the consequences of your past. And there's all this different stuff. And so for about, I think, 6 months to a year, Mr. Lightwork was, I feel, kind of punishing me in a way, or trying to manipulate me through the spiritual conversations we were having. It was like he was turning everything against me. And so I would ask you, when they do withhold, when they do pull back, we know they know it's hurting us. But my question is, are they doing this to you because they are upset? And if they are, did you do something? Or is this a perceived disrespect, or you know what I mean? Like, what's going on? Because if you can't take the time to think through that before you connect with your person, there's going to be some things where in the future, you're still going to have the wrong perception of what's going on here, you know? So I really hope that you can feel more confident in your dynamic and in them as a person, knowing that I don't think that there's narcissistic twin flames. Not truly. I don't think that there are ABUSER, or I was gonna say, I was trying to spell IV, or you get it right. Okay, you get the word I was trying to say. I don't think that those people are people. That does not mean that those behaviors cannot show up. When someone goes and gets tested for narcissism, they don't have to fit 100 exact specific things, but they also need to fit more than like one or two. So if there's, I'm making up a number, if there's 20 things that make a narcissist according to the DSM, but they only need to have 15, but specifically there's two or three that if these are not present, you don't qualify for that diagnosis. What that says is there's 20 different behaviors, characteristics, traits that you might have one or they might have one. And if you take that one and turn it into a whole diagnosis, or that they're evil or all these different things, and then you start to believe that's true about your divine masculine, and that means that that's just who they are, and that's what that means for twin flames, and all of a sudden your whole understanding about all this is jacked up. If your person is pulling some of this stuff, I think it's also good to ask yourself, where did they get it from? My divine masculine got this kind of behavior from his dad. It was so funny because when I first met him, some of you have heard me, I coined this term, shell of a narcissist. Mr. Lightwork was not a narcissist except for if he felt backed into a corner. And then all of a sudden, he was acting like, I mean, horrible. Like, honestly, there was no other way to describe it. It was like, what is wrong with you? And it was very rare, but when it happened, it happened. And then you could see afterwards, like he felt bad, but he just needed to kind of like, I need a break. I need to breathe. Like, I'm going to just say whatever I need to say. Right. And so he would repeat his father, or he would shut down like his dad did. And so there was this weird behavior where I did kind of question, like, oh crap, I know that the twin flame journey can mimic the codependency narcissism cycle. So I was like, oh no, like what's going on? But I saw there is a difference. And so my question to you here is, what does your person do when they show up? And do you think that there's a one-time thing? Or do you think that this is something that is like a deep mental health issue? And if you do truly believe that they have any kind of diagnosis, and again, unless you're a psychoanalyst and you've sat with them and gone through the process of diagnosing, right? Like you really need to chill out. But also like, if you believe all that stuff, my question to you is this permanent? Is this something that can change? Because I know that the only reason Mr. Lightwork was doing that because of his own denial and immaturity in him. This can be very helpful in discerning why your person would do something like this, especially when you're not doing anything to them. You literally just want to be with them and love them. It's bizarre. I'm not going to front, you guys. It's very weird when all you want is to show love and they just can't offer it. So it's interesting because what we see here now is we've got a divine masculine barefoot sitting down kind of in a vulnerable position. And then we've got a divine feminine who's just dropped to her knees. And behind is the shadow. Not the man, because there are some images of a man. You can see the face, It's the shadow. And I think the shadow is really what we're talking about. All right. We're not talking about the true nature of the person. We're talking about the thing that is trying to dim the light or stop the divine masculine from truly shining. All right, friend. I'm gonna go ahead and I just need some space and time. And it kind of feels like someone is here trying to just infiltrate the message and disagree with everything I'm saying because it doesn't resonate with them, which isn't helpful, friends. If you want to be a part of this channel, all that I ask of you is that you present positive things, that you present things that actually would make sense to the people around you and don't just trigger you and kind of make you want to lash out and say things. All right. So I really want to give everybody a chance to be a part of this collective, but I also want you to understand I'm no longer going to just have people kind of destroying the chats because I'm tired of like hearing about it afterwards and being like, dang, I saw it, but I was reading and I really wasn't paying close enough attention. And half the people, like my clients, they bring it up. So we're not going to allow that in the chat. If you need to disagree elsewhere, especially if I'm live, okay? It really helps me to be able to continue the reading, to not have someone saying and nitpicking every little thing I say, all right? And I really want to challenge you. If that's a part of your personality, make sure you're not doing that with your person. Again, this is where I say there are things that the people in our lives can do where maybe they're doing it to us because of what we've done to them. And there are so many divine feminine when we talk and they describe the situation, it's like that sounds like a lot of horrible behavior on your part. Why would you do that? So I want to remind people our divine masculines are not the only ones that can do wrong in this dynamic. And divine feminines, we've got to remember it's not all spiritual, especially if we've win. It hurts my feelings a lot. It makes me feel really sad. Y'all, this is now the second time. First of all, I need to actually make sure people are here and that the internet is working. Okay, Grace, slow down. Is anybody here? Says 0 people are here. Great. Is it public? I have no idea. Well, I'm going to assume, I guess. And what I'm going to say is I think it's very interesting that when I'm doing a love letter in the middle of the night that the internet works for a whole hour. But the last 2 times, y'all haven't noticed that? The last 2 times that I'm actually coming in and delivering straight facts about the divine masculine, that it gets blocked to the point where when I pulled my phone off this stand right here, it wasn't just the internet. I just went and reset my internet. My phone said E on the top of it, where it was usually LTE. It just said E. I thought it meant emergency, but then I just looked it up and it said it meant edge, which is like 2G or something. So what are the odds that while I'm doing a reading, both the internet and my phone connection go off? Mind you, my other phone sitting right here has 5G still. Y'all, I'm telling you, oh man, there is something about this channel that it's like, if a twin flame finds this channel, they will find their way out of a loop, and someone is desperately trying to stop that from happening. And it is infuriating me because it's like, so what am I supposed to do? Like, what am I supposed to do? Oh my gosh, there's nobody watching this. I don't even know if anyone's gonna watch. Let me try this again. Is there really nobody here? This is ridiculous. Okay. Boy. All right. There was obviously something in that first message, or the first part of the message, that for some reason no one was supposed to know. What I can tell you before we complete this reading is that the title of the previous message before I had to restart the video was, how could they feel the depth of this connection and not make the changes needed to be made in order to embrace it? How could they feel the weight of this connection, the depth of this connection, the insanity of it? It's just the synchronicities. Like, how could they feel basically the same way we feel and still choose to pursue a life that is essentially their old life? You know what I mean? It's how they've always done things. How could this connection not have shocked them out of the change? And so it was interesting. The very first card came out and said they live in a world of unrealistic fantasies, neglecting genuine emotional connections. And the reason that they do that is because they don't think they're worthy. And then the next thing that came out was, oh, well, they punish you. Very rarely is a divine feminine energy signature 2 or 3 doing anything to their person. And most of the time, if we're in separation, nothing's even happening between us, right? But if there is contact, if there's ghosting, if there is the in and out kind of thing, the divine masculine will withhold affection or love, which they will also try to make us seem as if we're weird for wanting, when socially it's a normal thing amongst the mature, grown, fully integrated and developed adults in the world. And so what do we see? Well, they do this in an attempt to burn a bridge. And what was I talking about at that point? I'm like so nervous now that this is not actually working. Okay, I gotta let it go though. At that point, we started to discuss how children will say things not thinking about the future. Children will say things not understanding like just how messed up what they just said is, because how would they know? They're young, right? But they know this will be hurtful. They know what they're doing. They just don't understand the ramifications. They do not think about when they're old and their parents pass away, that they might think like, oh man, I can't believe I gave my parents such a hard time when I was young. Like that's not in their mind when they're actively saying to you, like, I hate you. I'm going to run away, that kind of stuff. And that's kind of what's happening with the divine masculine. They have a shadow self that they use to interact and to deal with us. They have a way of doing things in life that is extremely avoidant. And many people will talk about psychology and human development and emotional growth, non-spiritual things, right, in the twin flame space. And that's because the common denominator with those of us who are seeking truth through tarot, like love-related tarot, is that our person has an issue of refusal to mature in some area of their life. Most of them, it is going to be related to connections, their own emotions, like they're dysregulated. There's some somatic issues or physiological issues. They are easily triggered. They don't know how to handle it. We trigger the hell out of them just existing because we're like their equal opposite. And when we're their equal opposite, when they're in their worst space, that's a worse feeling. When we're equal opposites in our healthiness, it's a beautiful flow. It's like a machine that works together. But when it's low vibe and we're kind of like in a different space, oh, it's like a punch to the gut just to be around us. And so, yes, our divine masculines will do things to get away from us, to push us away, but it's not about us. Matter of fact, I feel like that's what I was saying when I was rudely cut off. And again, come on. It was one thing when the internet was working or wasn't working, right? Like I was like, okay, maybe because last night the internet did go out. I live in a rural area. I need to move, you guys. It's a whole thing. It's getting really bad actually. And I'm not just talking about the internet. So like, I know divine is pushing me out of this place on purpose. That's fine. But then have you ever seen an E on your phone instead of LTE or 5G? Because I haven't. Like, I thought it meant emergency. I had a minor panic attack about 10 minutes ago because when I saw that E on the phone, that was about the connection to the, not Wi-Fi, but to the cellular networks. I was like, oh my gosh, did you know this stuff that's going on the other side of the world right now, right? I was like, did they? Like, you don't believe me? Hold on real quick. Let me show you on my phone. The last two things. Florida emergency and what does E mean on iPhone? Okay, so when I tell you, like, I'm legitimately like thinking something, I thought an EMP, but I'm like, the electricity is still on. So when I tell you, someone doesn't want you to hear that. Someone doesn't want you to hear that this is just how they are, that this is not about you, that they're doing this to everyone in their world, not just you. If you have a divine masculine who's just awful to you but loves everybody else, again, the question is, then what is that? That's I don't know what you would call that, but I don't think we should be discussing that in a twin flame space. But yeah, if it's like, no, the way I experience them is just, it hurts because of our connection, but that's kind of who they are all the other time. It's like, yeah. And for some reason in this space, someone wants you to take that really personally. Why? So that you can be sad and miserable and lonely and close yourself off to everything around you and even start to fear and disbelieve in your reunion at all so that you can get views or money or something. I don't really get it. I don't really understand it because I feel like it's not always the same thing. It's like not every person that has a tarot channel that's like trying to mess with you is a grifter. Some people are just bad at their job. Some people are just not intuitive. Some people should not be leading anybody. Some people need to heal, right? So it's like, I don't know. Some people get caught up with the algorithm and they post crazier and crazier videos because those are the only ones that do well and that's the only way they make their money. And so it destroys them. I need you to understand something. If you're on this journey, you need to know where you are energetically. You need to understand what's true about your person versus what is just the pain and the sadness and the longing all kind of jumbling up together into this mess of feelings. You need to know if you're dysregulated. You need to make sure that your health isn't affecting how you're perceiving things. I tell people all the time, don't be afraid to go to the doctor. You got some heart stuff going on. You got some skin stuff going on. You think, oh, this is my person. You better go to the doctor first and make sure it's not you. Because then if the doctor says to you, this is bizarre, I've never seen anything like this. Now you've got a confirmation from a 3D person that there is something spiritual going on, right? But there is so much nonsense in this space, so much spiritual bypassing that the moment I start talking about it, the dang phone go to E. Bruh, I cannot even begin to understand. Let me make sure this is still going because I'm like, all right. All right, y'all. Let's keep going. They can't maintain the connection because they don't think they're worthy of anything, especially not you. And they can't be real with you, so they punish you like a kid. Think about it when we're young and they say, oh, he hit you, it's because he likes you. Like, what? But at the same time, it is a pervasive issue in our culture that we do this to people. I don't understand it, but it's a thing. And it's because there is an immaturity issue. The main question you need to know before we go here is, where is your person immature? Are they immature in the area of finances or career? Are they immature in the area of family and friendships, like interpersonal relationships? Because if they've never seen a healthy relationship before, that can help you take a lot of the weight and the pressure and the pain off of yourself. Like, oh, there's something wrong with us. No, there's not something wrong with y'all, okay? There's something wrong with the way your person interacts with people because of their history, and it's going to take work to get through that. If someone's convincing you that they're just, oh, they're not awakened, all this different stuff, that may not be the case. And it's so important. That's where I feel like people are good at pushing you to buy a reading from them to get direct about it. But the thing is, you could figure this stuff out without any of this. This isn't going to help you in discerning what's actually happening with your person more than you knowing what's going on with them, more than you thinking back and reflecting on your interactions together. That's where you're really going to get that depth. So take a moment and make sure you've understood this. Why would your person burn the bridge between you? And again, pay attention. Full moon, drunken night, burning a bridge, not reflecting on the fact that the bridge was there for a reason, probably because it's the only way to get where you need to be, okay? This person will do destructive things in the name of saving and preserving themselves, and afterwards feel like crap about it. Do you really think this person's going to wake up in the morning and not feel a little bit of guilt for burning down a bridge? No, I think they will. In fact, I think they're going to have a lot of shame and embarrassment. But guess what? That's the cycle. That's the cycle. They're going to wake up and say, oh, of course my dumb ass would burn a bridge. Man, this is exactly what I do. That's who they are. That's who they are right now. Okay? So once you've been able to identify what part of them is immature, once you've been able to identify what it is that they're doing, if it's actually directed at you or it's just how they lash out and freak out, kind of like a wounded animal, then you'll have a lot more clarity about being able to understand why they do things the way they do them. Okay, let's keep going. What else do we need to know here? Oof. Making every situation about himself, overshadowing her needs and accomplishments. Okay. I think this speaks to the pride that this person has. But it's like, well, how is it that they think they're not enough, but they also have so much pride? You're speaking to the choir, honey. No, I'm just kidding. But I mean, really, I know that's a very good question, right? And it's because of what they've learned. in the message that was cut off by whatever, whoever, there was this sense of the divine masculines having some tendencies, traits, and characteristics from people around them. Not necessarily, okay, I just heard unclench, lower your shoulders. Okay, there we go. There are people in their lives who they learn things from. My divine masculine learned how to be somewhat narcissistic from his father. Ooh, wow. There is so much that's going to be missed because that reading got cut off. That makes me so sad. Another thing that I mentioned in there is that if there are 100 things, that's not really realistic, but if there's 100 things to be 100% sure that someone is diagnosed with something like being a narcissist, just because someone has one or two or three, hell, someone could have 50, but if they don't have the 50 that are, you must have these 50 or else you can't have it, then it doesn't matter. That's not their diagnosis. And that word is thrown around a lot. Narcissism, gaslighting, there are certain things that are thrown around a lot. And so now we hear them, but we also don't hear them. We use them, but we don't really get what we're saying. I think we need to understand our divine masculines, if they're our true person, are not narcissists. However, they may have some traits and tendencies every so often, like one or two or three of the things, or half of the things that are not technically what makes the narcissist, but could be a part of it. And we jump to conclusions. But realistically speaking, that I just don't think that that type of person can be a twin flame because of the work required and because of the interpersonal work required. So what that tells us is we have people who are putting on a shell. They're wearing armor. And so by putting on this armor of superiority, but then also putting on an armor or a shield of victimization and inferiority, they can command the room. If you come in and you're speaking to a certain part of them, they'll shield you with this, or they'll put the armor up with this. If you come in and you try something else, they'll go, but what about this? And it is, I used to call Mr. Lightwork deflection master because he was really good. He played devil's advocate and angel's advocate. He would play devil's advocate for things he didn't even agree with, but he would debate to the end because he liked running people in circles. He was good at certain things that were not healthy, but they were who he was. It were things where people would go, oh boy, you're real good at deflecting. He'd be like, yeah. And instead of looking at that and going, this is going to destroy me as a person, he was like, oh, yeah, this is me. This is what I do. This is how I get over on people. This is how I make myself feel better over others. So your divine masculine is doing the same stuff. You've just got to figure out where. Where is it that they lift themselves up to make themselves feel good in the delusion? And where is it that they will put themselves down to make you look like you're against them and you're evil? Where do they do that? Now, some people go, oh my gosh, this sounds so toxic. This sounds so crazy, because there's a lot of that in our society now of like, if it's even a little bit hard or if there's any mental health stuff or whatever, throw it away. There's also, if it's really toxic and it's horrible and nothing's changing, hold on to it forever. There's all these extremes, but there is no balance. That's what we seek to have on this channel, in this ministry. We want to find the balance in it all. We want to find the truth. There is a narrow path to truth here. And the truth is, you and your person, after you get together, are going to have to deal with all this stuff. And if you tell yourself that this is all because of some weird, like, separation thing, like they're only acting like this in denial of your relationship, that's crazy. That is crazy that a person who's otherwise healthy, otherwise well, has it all together, would find the love of their life and be like, this is the one thing I'm going to decide to fuck up royally. That's not realistic. Realistically speaking, the very things that are keeping you two apart are the things that are keeping them stuck in their life, where they are, never changing. That's where they seek comfort overall. And it can make them feel a lot more comfortable to feel superior to you, or even inferior as a victim, where it's like, I'm getting attention, I'm getting consoled, than it is to just go in directly and say, I want to be a better person. I want to be different. I know I'm not right. I want to love you. I want us to work. It's like, that's all a lot. And then there's all the work behind it. Ugh. So what's really going on when we have someone who's making every situation about himself, overshadowing your needs, overshadowing your accomplishments, but also in this other energy, what's happening? Ghosts of war. Battles fought on the outside still rage within your mind. If that ain't accurate, sheesh. Okay. The echoes of the past battles linger, replaying in your mind and heart. The pain feels endless. Oh my gosh. Acknowledging the strength it took to survive and honoring the lessons you gained through every struggle and victory can help you find peace. See, this person's mind is a battlefield. It never goes away. It is a sunken place. It is a pit of darkness. But you know what I really see? PTSD. I know everybody is running around talking about narcissism, PTSD, autism, ADHD. There's like a few things that have become the trend. But I will also say that perhaps there's been a lot of people over history that were just not diagnosed, right? Like maybe if your grandpa really liked trains, like, come on, no, I'm just kidding. That was a meme I saw the other day. But I still do think that's pretty realistic, all right? That maybe my theory that a lot of us have some sort of ADHD, some sort of PTSD. In fact, I could throw the ADHD out the window, but I think America, I think honestly, maybe the whole world, especially since social media came out, has PTSD, has trauma that they never dealt with that has now turned into rumination, maladaptive daydreaming, overwhelm, dysregulation, executive dysfunction. So it's like, hell, we might not have ADHD. We might not even have autism. We might all be so fucking traumatized that we're now starting to show all these other mental health issues. Again, that's a whole conversation for me and my psychology friends. But my point is, this is PTSD. Battles fought on the outside still rage within your mind. Instead of focusing on the pain, I'm going to deflect. I can't focus on you. I can't make what you want. I'm still in the battle that I fought. I'm still getting hit by my dad. I'm still getting punched by my bully. I'm still getting brokenhearted by my ex. I'm still there every day. I cannot actually escape it. So you know what I'm going to do? So that I don't have to deal with your needs? I'm going to deflect and turn it around and bring it back to me. Good or bad. As long as I don't have to change and I can just cause a frenzy till you leave me alone, I'm going to do what I got to do. Sheesh. Oh my gosh. Okay, so this one came in reverse. So I kind of left it so I'd remember that. Last thing we need to know for this reading, and then I'm going to go do a divine feminine reading, which hopefully we can deal with some different energy because this, child, matter of fact, oh, I'm supposed to be starting that reading too. Dadgummit. All right, we'll be late on that one. If you're interested, I'm going to be going to Awakening Divine. Let me show you where that is, by the way. If you go to my channel, how do I show you this? Actually, I guess I can't. Well, okay, fine. Subscriptions. This is Awakening Divine. So if you're interested, it's at Awakening Divine. Okay. And you'll see me sharing these videos from time to time on the community tab on this channel here. So that's where I'll be going. There is that live video right there. We're going to be talking about that shortly after this. All right. What do we need to know? So this was reversed. Micromanaging her choices from how she dresses to who she interacts with. This is interesting. I think the reason that this came into reversed is because this is something that has not yet happened, but this is what will be next. Okay. Now, what we can learn about this, if what's happening to them right now, is that this is what they do to themselves. We all know what it feels like to be micromanaged, to have somebody stand over our shoulder, to have somebody who just obviously doesn't trust us to do what we need to do. Imagine that's your own brain. And some of you are going to go, hello, I don't have to imagine. Like, and it's like, well, if you deal with stuff like that, you don't think your divine masculine would? I feel like as twin flames, there are certain things that we're most likely going to experience similarly, right? Even if it's to affect different areas or for different reasons. I don't know. I feel like there's going to be an overlap because of the energies that we share. So what this tells me is that the things that they do to themselves right now, they're going to shift those behaviors onto you if you get into union. And this is where I say, I know no one wants to hear it. I know that's not what Twin Flames is about. Twin Flame Tarot is all about saying, hey, reunion's coming tomorrow. It's all going to be perfect. They're going to be perfect. I'm sorry, friends. They are lying to you. And what's going to happen when you get into union is that you're going to be mad they're not perfect because someone lied to you and you're going to blame it on the DM. But they're what? No, no, that's not how what was ever supposed to happen. Okay. And so I think this says when you get together, you're still going to have normal human relationship problems. All the problems that you have right now, look around your life. Look around. They're not going to solve that stuff. All the problems they have, think about it. Reflect for a second. Think about everything. Family, friends, job, romance, all the problems they have, same thing. Now, there might be a couple things they've worked on. Maybe if there is some sort of really huge season of change, like change or growth or something, like if you've got a partner who goes and moves and does something new and starts a new life or whatever, I can see where that would be a thing. But if we're talking about someone who's just living the same and you're just living the same, both of you are stalled out in the energy from weeks or months or years ago, why would it be different? Stop letting them lie to you about that. If you can learn to work with it, I've been recommending this for years, but a lot of people, we don't talk on the phone, so maybe I should say it here. If you've got a person who's avoidant, for every tarot reading you watch, I want you to shift over to a reading about dealing with avoidant people. For every video that you watch about twin flames, I want you to go and turn around and watch something that's going to benefit you psychologically, spiritually, scientifically, outside of the twin flame, just tarot cycle. People say, all your readings are the same. No, no, no. Your energy is the same. You understand? Separation is one thing. That's why my readings are the same and everyone else's are too. I need you to understand all we can do is tap into this energy and look at it from different angles. But the reality is your person, when you get together, you're going to have to help them grow and they're going to have to help you grow. There's a lot of things that you've put aside because the twin flame journey doesn't allow for it, or people have told you, oh, you don't have to do that. You don't have to worry about that, or they've got to fix that, or blah, blah, blah. Even like forgiveness, there's a lot of you holding on and waiting to forgive your person because they haven't said, forgive me yet. They may never. Isn't that crazy? But they may never. They may never do anything that makes you feel like they've repented enough for you to forgive them if you're basing it on that condition of they need to XYZ so I can forgive. So there's a lot of things in this space that you're encouraged to do that are actually keeping you stuck and perhaps could be influencing your divine masculine's energy. Whereas this channel, our goal is not to just tell you what's going on. You already know. Let's just be real. Most of you are not getting new insights when I'm pulling cards. You're getting new insights when I'm talking about relationships, partnerships, when I'm talking about ministry work, when I'm talking about spiritual truth. That's where you're really getting the gems. Or maybe you're hearing me talk about like masculine energy because I'm very familiar, very comfortable with it. And you're like, oh, wow, I never thought of that. But it's not because you're getting something about your person. You already know what's going on with them. The readings just kind of confirm or guide, right? So I need you to sit for a moment and ask yourself, what is it about my person that I already know is going to be a problem for us? That I have told myself, because other people have told me it's true, that it's going to be gone and we're not going to have to deal with it. What is it that Grace is trying to get me to understand? And where can I start to decompress, decompose, deconstruct all the pain and the walls and the barriers that have been put up because I don't trust this person as they are. I can't trust this person as they are. Look at what they do to kind of push me away because they can't deal with their stuff. I can't let you keep going forward thinking that it's okay to just say, oh yeah, they're so poopy. Oh, they ain't, this is just who they are and just how they are. No, that's what everyone else in their life has been saying too. And they're starting to believe it. Your person, when you get together, is going to try to do everything they can to have their cake and eat it too, in most cases. Why? Because unless your divine masculine is super mature, which in that case, 99% of twin flame readings will not resonate with you, okay? Unless your person is super mature, they are immature for a reason. You understand? They've been avoiding the same stuff their whole life for a reason. And when they get with you, this is the first time they're ever going to have a moment where it's like, look, either you want to be with me or you don't. And it's going to take a while. That's the real truth. Every twin I see that gets into union is shocked by how tough it is to be with their person after all this time. They haven't dealt with anything. They've just been waiting for the conversation to happen that should have happened years ago. And they've done no healing within when it comes to their person because they're like, no, we're going to do that together. And they have no idea that that is going to make the beginning of reunion and reconciliation and all that moving into the seasons and the energy you're supposed to be in feel impossible. Why is it so important for you to understand that this is what they do to themselves and what they would be doing to you if you were together? That might also be why this was reversed, because some of you are dealing with this. Some of you are feeling like, what the heck? Like, this is exactly what they're doing to me right now as we're in contact. Why? Well, let's see. Fading memories. The past slips away, but the pain still lingers inside. And now we have two cards back to back, letting us know your person is deeply wounded. They are deeply hurt. They are overwhelmed by life. Life has been kicking them while they were down for a very, very, very long time. And this is nothing about you. I'm not saying you're bad or good because of that. I'm not saying you're doing the right thing or the wrong thing. Take away you for one moment, take away twin flames for a moment. The reality is your person has been under attack as long as you have. Do you hear what I'm saying to you? Can I ask you a question? How long have you been under attack? How long? Some of you are able to admit and say, honestly, Grace, the attacks only started when I started my journey. I was living in such darkness before that darkness didn't need to attack me. I was doing a pretty good job harming myself and others. So I was doing darkness's bidding. It's only been since I've started to do the right things and pursue light and righteousness and all these things that now I'm under attack. But some of you are going to go, no, Grace, it's been my whole life. I'm going to tell you, it's probably the same for your person. And for some reason, no one wants to bring that up to you. Now, it could be because sometimes as readers, we do face a lot of, no, you're wrong. And then we start getting cussed out and then we're like, you know what? I don't want to touch that. But I also think there's just a lot of people who don't care about it, don't want you to think about that. They don't want you to have deep empathy for your person. You know how crazy it is? Most of us in this space have some sort of gifting of empathy. We may not be pure empath, where that's our main thing, but most of us have the gift of empathy. But we all struggle when we're in like energy phase 1, energy signature 1, to actually empathize with our person. In fact, the closer you get to energy signature 3 and reunion energies, the less likely that you need this stuff. People think that I'm talking about tarot for all these different reasons, but it's like, how do I explain to you that there comes a point where this will not resonate? And not because you're disagreeing with what I'm saying, but because you're agreeing and you've already known and you don't need this anymore. You're on to something else. It is an energy signature 1 and some of energy signature 2 where people are like, I don't care. I don't want to hear about my person. I don't believe that. They're bad. I'm good. Just tell me more about that. Your person has been under attack just as long as you have. And because they're not spiritual, they have no idea what's happening and they have been in survival mode because of it. It's not about you. You're not doing anything wrong. This is just what's true for them. Can you sit with that? Can you let that kind of go deeper? Because I think at that point, a lot of the insights that you're missing will come through. I think that energy signature 1 watches tarot because they're just needing to hear from their person. Their person becomes the tarot becomes their person. By energy signature 2, they don't need the information anymore. By energy signature 3, they're not even worried about it anymore. And interestingly enough, as you shift through these energy signatures, as you get higher and higher on your ascension journey and you get into the reunion energy, you also are able to better understand your person and see them for who they are. Many of you do not realize that listening to so many people dog your person and say they're not changing and they're not working is forcibly building up a boundary upon you against them. Woo-wee. All right, Grace. What's the final cards? And we'll go to the Divine Feminine reading because I need to get out of this energy. I cannot beg and plead on the Divine Masculine's behalf for the Divine Feminine to understand them. I just know that when you're supposed to, you will. And if you come upon this reading today, maybe today's the day, but you may need to come and see it again, or maybe someone else is supposed to hear that. What is it we need to understand most of all about the Divine Masculine's shell? Because I think that's what the shadow man is. The shadow man is the shell. This is what they want you to see. This is how they want things to go. This is what they feel that they can control. What do we need to know? Breaking her trust repeatedly while pretending to be loyal. Why? Keeping her at arm's length while pretending to want a deeper connection. They bring you in and they let you believe whatever it is you want to believe. They know that they're not willing or ready to step up yet, but they don't want to lose you. So they tell you what you need to know. And in both of these cards, that man is holding the heart. You understand? Physical, spiritual. The shadow wants you to be around because it knows what it can get from you, but it doesn't want you to be around because it knows that you're going to destroy it with your light. If it can have and hold the light and keep the light from you, it can control the light, and it might hurt, it might burn a little bit, but at least it's in their control. This is what the person in your life has been really focused on. I need to be able to control all the situations in my life because I can't control myself. I don't know how. I have no authority over my own flesh. So I will hold on to anyone who will let me. And most healthy people would not allow this at all. I want to be honest with you. There are, I will say probably about 25% of my clients that I'm working with, there is a complex situation playing out where it's not so easy to just, this is it. But for about 75% of the people that I talk to on a regular basis, even now, there is a feeling within that is false. There is a lie that's being told that is not real. And they're looking at their counterpart and the situation, and they're seeing things the way they want to see them, as a form of spiritual bypassing that is encouraged by the people that they're watching. And that's where so many people are rubbed really raw or completely turned off by my channel. And in spite of the fact that there's really no reason for it. I've sat back and thought about it lately and been like, wow, like, of course your shadow or your ego will be offended by me saying to you, the 75% of you who absolutely have real stuff going on with your person. Do you know how many times people have told me that there's no reason, there's no drama, there's never been any problem. But then when they described the whole relationship they had with the Divine Masculine, it was constantly fighting, cussing each other out, all kinds of nonsense. And I'm just thinking, what are you talking about? Like, how did you convince yourself that they're bad, you're good? And it's like someone else told them that. Someone else told them, don't worry about that stuff. That's not the problem. The real only issue here is that your person denied your connection. And it's like, that's a lie. They have the right to behave the way they behave. And you have the right to say, I'm not interested. But to try to convolute it any further is wrong. And I think there is about, what would that be? 3 out of every 4 divine feminines that are going to listen to this have things they need to deal with within themselves that they are ignoring. And that is the accurate part when a reader says to you, you need to do the work. But when you hear that statement, you all you can think of is, well, I've done the work. Because what is the work? You know what I mean? So it's like, oh, it's so tricky. It's all so convoluted. But the truth is, you know within yourself where you're struggling. You know within yourself where you're not happy. You know within yourself where you don't have authority over your flesh, where you're out of control. And that's why I encourage divine feminines to work with individuals like myself to find positive readers to listen to find positive coaches, to find encouraging feminine energy. Because once you start dealing with you, you will have so much more peace with them. If you ignore that, then you're acting just like them. And the truth is, now you're in the cycle with them. That is their goal, friends. They want to bring you down, not because they hate you or they're trying to hurt you, but because if they can bring you down, you'll sit next to them and go, yeah, this sucks, huh? Instead of saying, come on, babe, like, I promise there's better. I can do this. When you give them hope like that, it hurts them so bad. Again, you're not doing anything wrong. You're doing the right thing, but it does hurt them. It does hurt them to hear you say that one day, if they just turn around and they make some changes, things will be better because they know it's true already. So again, friends, I need you to reflect on that. Where is it that you have struggled? Where is it that you are lacking in your life? Where is it that you are confused? Where is it that you're using this as a distraction and then accidentally allowing the distraction to make you hate this person because really you've got stuff in your life you need to be dealing with? I've been there. I did it too. I'm not trying to judge you. I'm helping. And it's so sad that there are so many people who are going to say, oh gosh, oh, she thinks she's helpful, but I don't like the way she talks to me. I don't like what she talks about. I don't like how she approaches things. That's not true. And it's like, friend, can I call you friend? Because one day we will be. One day you'll be back here. And I just wonder, are you going to blame them for that too? For you being in complete denial about your own stuff, about your own unhappiness, about your own divine purpose, about what divine has been calling you to? The number of people who misinterpret signs and syncs because they can only reflect through reunion. I got a message today. I think it's about reunion. Every single message. That's not possible. You don't think it's weird that suddenly when you found out about twin flames, you just stopped receiving divine messages about everything else except them? So again, I'm not foolish. I don't think that it's a coincidence that every time I come in and I say, I've got to answer a really tough question. I've got to come in and speak to higher level divine feminines in confusion, but also lower level divine feminines in denial in the same message so that they understand what's going on here. You think this is what I really want to talk about? No, my first readings weren't about divine masculines. My channel was about divine feminines, but no one wanted to hear that. My love letters are the only thing that's popular. Hell, the love letters are the only thing that the damn powers that be will just let flow through like no big deal. But it's always something to try to get through to the collective. Phones going out, internet's going out. Guys, I am not stupid. I know that the work I'm doing here is necessary. And I need you to ask yourself honestly at the end of every reading, is there anything she said to me today that triggered me? That I could internalize as Grace and my divine masculine, I'm going to go find someone who gets it. Or I could say, let me deal with this. Because the funny part is, you may get it done in 10 minutes. Some of you with ADHD just heard that and go, shut up, Grace. But it's true, right? The things that we avoid tend to take so little time. And the longer we procrastinate, the more time we think they're going to take because it's been so long that we've been technically working on it and working with that energy. Friend, what's your deal? If you right now could acknowledge where, this is an easy one, okay? Where are you easily manipulated by somebody like this? Even just being able to say, I love my person so hard that I basically let them do this to me. Like I was aware that they were not well. I was aware that they were off. I knew that this shouldn't be happening, but I am such a lover. I have crushes and I'm boy crazy or romantical, fantastical, whatever. So it's like, I know they were doing this. It's not really a surprise to me. That's a good first place to start. But there's also this feeling of, hey, what have I been denying about my own life? If I had to rate on a scale of 1 to 10, you guys want to do a quick exercise? Grab a piece of paper. If I had to rate on a scale of 1 to 10, 8 areas of my life with Grace. Okay, we're going to do this. Where's my... All right, everybody ready? We're going to look at our flower really quick and then we're going to go to the divine feminine reading. When it comes to my divine masculine and I's separation journey, so not just my life, but how I feel when I connect my person to my life, to my future, because that's who they are to me, they're my future. How do I feel about, let's start with family and friends. Well, I'm going to go ahead and do this for the collective because I know the collective. And I'm going to tell you that unless you already had a strong circle of support, good friends and family, good people around you, And if you hadn't already exhausted them with some obsessive tendencies, because that was me. I used to be the person that called and I needed to talk about this boy I liked or had a crush on. And I knew I couldn't exhaust one person. So I would talk to them for an hour and okay, bye. And then I'd call and I would spend 10 hours talking to 10 different people about the same freaking person, never really getting anywhere, but I just couldn't stop myself. Okay. So I know that I didn't have a good family and friends group because someone should have caught that in me. Okay. Okay. But also I know that if I did, I would probably be out doing things and having fun and whatever. So unless you already have a really solid relationship with your family, most twin flames are going to rate on their circle. The way you do this is you kind of create, what is this? 8, 4, 6. You create 8 petals. All right. So that'd be what? 4 lines, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then, so that would be the friends and family petal for the collective, most likely. All right. And I would love to hear your results for this if you're willing to share it. Okay. What about environment and home? Oh, so many of my divine feminines will sit and say things like, oh yeah, I love my house now. I'm a hermit. I'm totally cool with staying at home. And then by the end of the call, they're like, I really need to get out of my room. I'm sitting in filth, or I haven't gotten out. I don't have any sunlight. I need to touch grass. So I'm gonna be real. Again, unless you have OCD and your house is super clean and everything's perfect, and that that's just kind of who you are when it comes to your space, most divine feminine twin flames are gonna say, probably 2. Now, again, you can clearly see the difference in the petals here. So look at your flower right now, compare it, okay? And I hope you're all doing this. I hope you've got a piece of paper. Okay, let's keep going. What about your health and wellness? Well, let me be real. One of the primary things that worries me about the twin flame space, but it's not just twin flames, it's the whole spiritual space, is how much spiritual health bypassing happens. How many people I've heard, and no, I'm not going to talk about that because that's her business. But the things that I've heard from people, and then when they actually do end up having to go to a doctor, and then it's like, oh man, my thing is, I understand that maybe because I don't like Western medicine, but I still respect that there is wisdom, right? So if I break an arm, I'm going to go, you know what I mean? Rebuked. So I get it. But my thing is, you might be thinking about the fact that, oh, so you're saying I was wrong. Da, da, da. No, I'm worried about all the different things you were interpreting through that misunderstanding of the energy, and how many messages you missed, how much truth you missed out on because you denied what was really going on with how you felt. Most of the people that I talk to, I just talked to a client the other day. I don't really think this is a divine masculine issue, but she said all she's been eating is ramen, and not because she broke, because she can't cook right now. It's decision fatigue. Do you know how many people I talk to that experience that? Where it's like, I can't even keep anything down, or I can't eat, or I just make whatever because I know I need to eat, but I'm not. Or if you like me, I have BDE, okay? Not what you're thinking. It's binge, okay? And so when I get stressed out, boy, let me tell you, it is what it is. So no, our health and wellness on the journey, what? I'll give that another 2. Matter of fact, this is starting to, okay. Let's see, fun and recreation. Let's just keep it real. This should be a 0 for pretty much all twin flames, because I don't think I've met a single twin that would say to me, I'm going out and living my best life. I can think of 1,000 twins. I've worked with thousands of people over this last 7 years. I can think of 1,000 people. Okay, that's ridiculous, right? But I think I can. That would say to me, I'm holding off on having fun. I'm waiting to do the thing until my person comes. Now, I have a divine feminine. Are you listening right now? Where her recreational activity is the place she sees her DM. So, okay, again, if you've got some one-off outlier, then sure. If you already had a really fun, recreation-filled life, maybe if you've got that strong family group and everything's all together, or you're a healthy person, so you go and do a lot of running or whatever, maybe your recreation is high. But again, are you being real? Do you really think, just think about 2025. If you can name the fun things you've done on one hand or less fingers, are you really having a good time? I'm not even talking about paying to go on a vacation or something. But do you know how many divine feminines have let go of all their hobbies, have lost their joy? Okay, so I'll give this a 1, but I really think this is 0. The number of divine feminines that I have just straight up told me I'm holding off on doing these things because I want to experience it with my person. And some of those people have been in separation for years. So I'm not saying that to dog them. I'm saying that to you who might be there going, oh crap, me too. Stop it. We can't do this to ourselves anymore. This big ass flower is who they met. This is who they want. This is what makes them, even though they're terrified of what this connection makes them feel, this is what makes them stick around. Not this. This little tiny shell of a person you're becoming on this journey because someone wants you just sitting around watching YouTube all day. Weird, right? This is not what's going to draw your divine masculine. Let's keep going. What about your finances and abundance? You're going to notice a common pattern here. Unless the divine feminine already had their life together, this stuff has all shrunk or has never grown. So again, if you had it all together, if you invested in yourself, whatever, something, you trust fund baby, something like that, then sure, maybe your finances and abundance are high. But here's the interesting part. I have had clients lose their job over their person. And let me be real with you. I have lost jobs in the past from being so depressed, couldn't get out of bed in the morning, couldn't do anything but just lay around from having crushes. That wasn't even on the twin flame journey. That was just, I really liked a guy and he had ghosted me. I really liked a guy and he was playing with my emotions. I really liked a guy. I was so dysregulated. You're seeing the pattern, right? If you already didn't have it together, but you were doing your best to get it there and you were on your way, and then your divine masculine energy triggered you, or their energy and their life and their darkness triggered you back into your worst traits and habits. This is the kind of stuff that's going to help you see that. This is what our channel does. We're not just here to do love letters, but again, even the powers that be trying to stop us from giving these messages out. I'm not going to cut a message short because the internet went out. I'm not going to cut a message short because half the people have left. I'm going to keep showing you the truth. If that's what you want, come back around, watch the old readings. You don't have to buy shit from me. Watch the old readings. I have 2,000 public readings and 2,000 members only readings. That's over 4,000 readings available to you on this channel if you're a member as well. Okay, so let's do finances. All right, maybe we'll say 3. Okay, now legacy and career. I think there's been basically my divine feminines who have either gotten into reunion or gotten out of separation energy and are reconciling are the only divine feminines that I've ever seen focus on their legacy and career. I believe many twin flames are brought to twin flames so that they can be activated about their light work and their mission, because their person is the only thing that would be able to get them to do it. And I know that's messed up, because if someone said that to me, I'd be really offended. But I also would then later, because I have an overthinking problem, sit with it and go, oh my gosh, it's so true. That before I met Mr. Lightwork, yeah, I kind of pursued my purpose and but there was all these different things. Like before I met Mr. Lightwork, I have a whole book written. The first book I put out on this channel, the Twin Flame novel, that wasn't my first book. I have a whole book written. I still haven't touched it because that's who I was back then. I could get to a certain point and then I just what? But that's where I was. And Mr. Lightwork being the way that he was, I had to choose to be the big flower or the little flower. That was it. Every single day, I had to choose to try to get myself back to being regulated, all the things that I was learning and growing. I had to choose to continue to ascend or to stop, which really was actually descending, because the ground and the sky are separating. Okay. All right. So legacy and career, again, unless they were already established, I can't think of very many. And I hope that doesn't hurt your feelings. I want you to understand, if you've worked with me before and you think I'm talking about you and you're internalizing this as I'm just speaking about you, I don't have any one person in mind right now. Do you understand? This isn't you. This is the common denominator of this journey. But there's a way out. Again, energy signature 1, energy signature 2, energy signature 3, such different energies. It's why it's so clear where they are. And this flower is the small one is what is that word? It's like incarnate twin flame low vibe. All right. If you're here, I'm not calling you a low vibe person. I'm not saying you're not doing the work. I'm telling you there is a confusion in your journey that needs to be addressed. So for legacy and career, I'll give it this too, but I don't really think that's accurate. Okay. And then we have personal growth. Now, here's the interesting thing. Spiritually speaking, divine feminines swear that this journey has made them grow. I posit that you were going to grow without this journey. and that this journey is actually hindering your growth more than it's helping. But maybe I'm wrong, okay? It was when I chose to step away from the algorithmic twin flame lifestyle and chose to live my highest self, my highest purpose, my highest walk, all of that, that I was no longer stuck the way that I used to be stuck. And my growth would actually reflect in the physical. It was being integrated. So I want you to challenge yourself. When you answer personal growth, be real. Is it showing up? Have people in your life been complimenting you? Have you been meeting new people, new friends, new groups, new jobs, new this, new that, and expanding? Or have you become a hermit who has found a good script of, oh, I'm doing my shadow work right now? Is it actually showing up in your personality? Is it actually showing up in your life? Okay, good questions to answer, right? I will go ahead and be kind and give this a 5. But love and romance, there is nothing there. It was plucked. He loves me not type shit, okay? Look at the whole flower. I don't know, can you see it? Is there a glare? Can you see this pretty well? There's a whole flower with 8 petals that we're going to pretend are all equidistant. Okay, they're all the same size. And then there's this weird, just, and I get it. There's going to be people who go, but you know what, Grace? I can't believe you're being so judgmental because all flowers are beautiful. See, that's where discernment can save you. That's where there's always someone. Have you ever noticed that? Like every single post, every single video, every single sentence that any human being says on the planet now, there is a human that's either going to come in and say, but what about these people that I don't know, are not me, and I really don't know much about, but I've heard I should defend them? Or what about some really specific technical thing that is contextually untrue? Yes, all flowers are beautiful. But can I be honest with you? If someone brought you a bouquet of flowers that looked like that, and it wasn't a child, like it was a grown person, you know what? Let's not even say it was a gift, because I still think that would make me go, oh, thank you, because I have a thing about gifts. All right, fine. But if you went to a florist and you said, I want to buy a bouquet, and they brought you a bunch of flowers that look like this, but charged you for the flowers that look like this, you would be like, oh, hell no, okay? Hell no. You gonna get me the good flower. What the fuck is this? So I'm trying to help you understand something. You are accepting a minuscule, small, insignificant life and journey over the fullness of your true divine nature. This is energy signature 1. This is energy signature 3. The divine energy, the reunion energy. You guys don't think it's weird that separation is a man-made term that is specifically speaking about a couple who is choosing to not fully be done, but to separate? Okay, you don't think it's weird that that's the term they chose in this community to use? I think it's weird. I think it's very weird that that man-made concept was taken and brought into this really powerful, beautiful, spiritual concept that was supposed to help people transform and step into their highest calling and do what they were meant to do on a divine journey with a divine partner that was manifested, created, incarnated specifically for them to accomplish that goal. Why are we all talking about separation so much? But, again, I'm not going to get into that because that's another conversation. So what I want you to think about is, what about your journey and your divine masculine and all the things that you have been told, all the things that you've started to believe? What about this experience is just mumbo jumbo? Is just someone trying to distract you? Is just someone trying to hurt you? Is just someone trying to make you stay stuck in place? How much has your life actually changed for the better since you started your journey? This is not about saying you shouldn't be on the twin flame journey. That's your decision on how you want to do things. There are twin flames around the world right now who will never even hear the term, and they are in their mission with their person, probably was high school sweethearts, and they had it like that. There are those of us who needed to know, who needed to be activated, who needed to experience some semblance of like separation. Okay, sure. But we did not need all the lies that went with it. And my goal pretty much whenever I go live is to make sure that if there's something that if there's like a deceit in the twin flame space that's showing up in the reading that I think is going to stop you from understanding it, I want to address that so that you can actually get your message. We got to talk about all this different stuff. But you know what? We're going to move on from the darkness and the heaviness. We're going to close the reading out. Let's get a clarifier from our person as well. And then we're going to go do a divine feminine reading. And we're going to focus on positive things. And we're not talking about the dia. In fact, it's really not even considered a divine feminine reading. It's because that channel is not for twin flames. It's just for anyone who finds it. But it is mostly probably divine feminines on the channel, if I'm being real, you know? So, okay. If you're still here, please like the video. We're going to close out. All right. Oh, man. So you've got the ghosts of war, and then you've got hollow victories. The wins feel empty when the cost was too great. And what I will tell you is when you're arguing with someone who is childish, they are in a space of the game. Okay. I'm losing the game of life. I want to win the game of this conversation. I'm choosing my battles very poorly because pretty much everything feels like war. In the moment, I don't care who I burn. I don't care who the casualties are. And because I feel so bad and because I can't get away from this stuff, I lash out and I feel like I've won, but for only so long. What is really going on here? Ugh. Broken promises. The weight of unkept words pull the soul deeper into despair. Now, what is the words? They've been promising you love and a future. They've been promising you that they care, that they feel the connection, all these different things, but they have never been able to stand up and be who they need to be for you. And it's not about you. It's not about the journey. It's not even about them being a twin flame. It's about the fact that they have been under attack their entire life because why would darkness want y'all to be together? Why would darkness want y'all to be happy? Why would darkness want your person to be at their peak? You can see their potential. It's always very confusing to me how convoluted all this stuff is and how people just push everything together and they don't actually sit with it and think about it. Friends, your person is the way they are because that's what happened. Nature, nurture, created them to be this way. It's not against you. It's not to toy with you. If you've ever had the thought of divine is messing with me, divine is joking with me, divine is laughing at me, I can tell you right now, you can think you were saying them in jest. You can think it was just a little joke, but you have already internalized those lies. And if you're saying the same stuff about your person, friend, you have internalized so much contempt towards them, and you've got to work on that. We all do. We all have to get better about that. And if we can do that with the person who is the most difficult person in our life, the challenge, the growth, the way that we will evolve will be incredible and it will show up in the physical. All right, final message. I just want a couple cards here. Divine Masculine, what do you need us to understand? Deep down underneath all of this, the broken promises, all the things that you are just overwhelmed by and ashamed of, what do you need your divine feminine to know right now? It's always been you, duh, which we already know. You make me feel what? You make me feel like nothing else matters. I want to make you mine again. I want to be together no matter what, and I love you just the way you are. That is basically directly in opposition to all the things that this person says to try to burn the bridge of our dynamic, to try to stop the connection from existing, because it's almost feels like, I'm going to tell y'all something interesting and stupid at the same time. I don't want to have children, but it's simply because I don't want to have a child in my body. That's going to sound crazy. I don't eat chocolate. I don't eat peanut butter, and I don't want to have a baby in my body. I would love to grow a baby. Do you know how amazing my baby would be? And also how if I had a baby in my body, I would take such good care of myself. It'd be amazing. But at the same time, if there's a day where that thing kick a little weird and I start to feel sick to my stomach, I'm that squeamish. I can't do it. As I look at this, it makes me feel like we have this person in our life who there are things they've convinced themselves are impossible. There are things they've convinced themselves are never going to happen. There are things they've convinced themselves are all wrong. There are things that they're deeply, deeply afraid of. And there's something about this connection that's all of those things at once. And it makes them feel like there's something in them that they need to get out right away. Their shadow self hates the light. But their lighter self is still in there. There is a teaching I did recently. And then I promise I'm going to close this out because I'm super late for the other reading. Oh my gosh. There's a teaching I did recently in the New Wave Prophecy. And it talks about, what is it called though? It talks about the spiritual light and dark operating system. Is that one this? I think so. It's called Your Person's Mind Has Been Hijacked. And it's funny because we're talking about the ghosts of war, the hollow victories. There's something here. Your person's mind has been hijacked. It's number 13. Your divine masculine has a light operating system in them, just like you. And just like you, darkness tried to come in like a virus or a hacker and infiltrate that system. And it succeeded. And then it overrode the system and it succeeded. But the light system's still under there. It's just become dormant. You trigger the dark system into overreaction because it's like, oh no, the light that's supposed to be still and dormant underneath, it's trying to come alive. You trigger your divine masculine's higher self. You connecting triggered something very incredible in them. I truly believe that one of the primary reasons that people like us who find twin flames, but also find the algorithm and get a little caught up in the social media aspect of being a twin flame, that those of us who got into separation and pine over our person or wait for them or are constantly anticipating reunion, we don't like to say the word wait because we're in denial, whatever it is, those of us who found that person and this concept and then are in the waiting game, we needed to be activated and they needed to be activated by us. The powers that be in darkness, the enemy of their soul, is so strong on them that the only thing that could awaken the dormant light within them, that system that's within them after being, I don't think about like a calcified pineal gland for so long, is you. And you have now come to hate that fact because people out there are telling you that this shouldn't be happening and all this stuff. But I say, and I've been saying this for years, if you truly believe you are a twin flame, you have a twin flame, you're going to be together this lifetime, and the person that you've selected is actually your person, you have a knowing and a truth in your soul that 99% of the world will never have. They will never know what it feels like to know without a shadow of a doubt that love is coming for them, who it's with, and what they're meant to do together. What? No. So why are you so damn mad? Because someone's trying to make you mad. And this reading is going to get you a little fired up and stuff, probably against me. But take a second and ask yourself. I had this conversation with a client the other day. I said, I don't know you very well, but I do know you well enough to know you're very intelligent, you're very grounded, you're very wise. So what the hell's going on here? What happened to where you now doubt your own ability to do things you've done a million times? And you know what she said to me? That's a good question. Friends, what happened? What happened? Look at your life right now, where you're at. And if you're not okay with it, if you're not happy, what happened to make you believe this was it? Twin flames. I'm not saying it's the concept itself. I'm saying something about this journey is not doing what you think it's doing. And once you acknowledge it and admit it, you just darkness whole plan against you up. You screwed them because they've been counting on you believing that and being mad and starting to feel contempt and bitterness towards your person and feeling like this was taking too long and I just got to sit around and wait and all these lies. They've been counting on you believing that stuff. But no, you know what you know. You just got to change your paradigm. All right, it's time to move on. I need to be done. I need to be done with this. I actually have like a full headache right now. Oh my gosh. It is pounding. All right, friends. I guess I should do the thing. If you're interested in working with me, again, I remind you, you have no obligation to do anything. Oh, you might not know this, but all proceeds benefit local homeless. I have had a homeless ministry for the past 20. Oh my gosh, it's been almost 20 years, guys. I've had a homeless ministry for over 15 years, almost 20 years, and I still do all these things. It's just a little bit more few and far between. And actually for my birthday, this was my plan. If you want to know what I want to do for my birthday, I want to go do homeless bags. I want to do the biggest haul that I've done in years. And that's saying nothing, saying something. I don't know, because I haven't really been able to do one for a while. But if you're interested in working with me, there's all kinds of ways to work with me. You can, of course, just start with YouTube. YouTube is free, all right? There's also members-only content and exclusive readings that will help you dive deeper into your situation. There's the Reunion Journey Toolkit, which is one of the most important things that you can use to help you integrate the physical and the spiritual world that you've been existing in. And friends, if you have the Reunion Journey Toolkit, if you have the Spiritual Archetypes Toolkit, if you have any of those assessments to help you figure out where you are in the journey, how far away reunion is, what type of twin flame you are, any of that stuff, I have recently digitized all of it. I've been working really, really hard to make things easier for you to assess your situation. So if you already have it, I am not going to contact everyone who has bought a toolkit from me before. If you want to, instead of having to do it by hand, if you want to be able to just access an online quiz, then let me know. Just send me an email and I will send that to you. Okay. I have phone calls and phone readings. My phone calls do not have tarot. My phone readings do. It'll say tarot call or phone call on my site. I also offer love letters, contract readings, DM readings, personal readings. Okay. I got all the stuff. All right. But my main thing is you need to do what's going to help you. So if you think watching more readings is going to help you and you're missing something, that's fine. Like I don't know your life like that. But I want you to be real with yourself about it because it makes me really sad when people come to me and they go, I wish I would have listened. I'm not really sad. Like, why didn't you listen? It's not about me. It's like, I wish you would have listened too, because I know you've been watching my channel for 5 years. You know what I mean? Like, it's like we've never spoken. You're in and out. Sometimes you're mean, sometimes you're nice, but now you're here and it's been 5 years of your life that's just gone down the drain. Now, again, some divine feminines, they do some things, but if they're in energy signature 1, hell no, they can't. I want to help you. If you're in energy signature 1, if you're pretty certain you're in the lowest vibe of twin flames, I need you to subscribe to the channel, or at the very least, stop not watching the videos. You don't have to subscribe, but don't skip them and then come back later and be like, oh man, why did I miss this? If you're subscribed and you saw that video and you didn't know it came out until 3 months later when you were finally ready to watch it, it's because the timing said you weren't supposed to watch it for 3 months because you weren't ready then. You've got to ask yourself, why? I think I'm ready for everything. I think it's time for me to do everything. I think it's time for reunion right now. But the moment Grace asks me if they showed up today, would I actually be ready for them? Almost everybody always says no. So come on, friends, we're going to get it together and we're not going to let another day, week, month, year, or years go by doing the same thing and feeling like everyone else is crazy, but somehow we're doing the right stuff. No, we're going to start being real with ourselves, me included. I'm not going to sit in delusion anymore. I'm not going to sit in confusion anymore. I'm not going to hide the light anymore. I'm not doing it. If you're with that, join us in whatever way you want to. No forcing necessary. If you want to work with me, here is my website. Somewhere. There you go. Okay? All right. I love you. I'm going to get out of here. If you made it all the way to the end, I'm going to pull a little card for you. Most important thing you need to know right now, today. Ooh, pretty. Oh, malachite, healing. I am a healing machine manifesting miracles. Ooh, oh my goodness. Oh, I don't know if what I said earlier in the beginning of the reading of the other one, I don't know if what I said about healing in the machine of us working together was in the first reading or in this video. So now I'm like, but I hope it resonates for you. I love you. And if you're interested, how do I do this? Let me link you to the next video because since I had to restart this and I went kind of too fast. Oh crap, I just realized I don't know how to do that, do I? Oh, I don't know if I can, guys. Okay, I can't. You're just going to have to go to it. If you want to find Awakening Divine, you just have to type @Awakening Divine all together like that. Can you see it? I don't know. Maybe. Can you? You just have to type Awakening Divine like that. I'm going to go over there and there's going to be a live video, and that is what the thumbnail currently looks like. Okay? All right, I'm going to get out of here. You've made it all the way to the end. Leave something green in the comments. Yeah, lots of green on the table today. All right, I love you. Bye-bye. By the way, before we get started, I have an important question for you. Why do all twin flame readings and teachings focus on the divine feminine? I mean, at first, I thought it was just the way of the journey, but years of research and fact-checking has revealed there's a lot of nonsense going around as a global fix to our collective light work. I'm telling you, there's a spurious correlation being made, friends. The truth is, divine feminines are not the only ones on the journey, nor are they always the first ones to awaken. That's who we should be talking to when we help twin flames ascend. The first awakened. The truth is, if you are a first awakened twin flame and you happen to be a divine feminine counterpart, then your connection to the intuitive and your feminine leanings would only naturally bring you to intuitive practices like tarot and astrology. Divine masculines are actually the more physically grounded or 3D focused counterpart. So when they awaken first, it's in their own way rather than the exact way a first awakened divine feminine would do things. Okay, I know that's not why you're here. So let's examine the Ascension Pathway that every first awakened counterpart will travel on their way to reunion. First, we have the early separation energies. There's a real reason why twin flames separate, and separation is not a punishment, it's a portal. But for many twin flames, this portal becomes a painful cycle of chasing, withdrawal, confusion, and emotional relapse. It's the shock of awakening. Like, hey, welcome. If you found yourself on this path, overwhelmed by the pain of separation and unsure whether this is a miracle or a curse, you're not broken, you're awakening. The early stages of the twin flame journey are some of the most misunderstood and emotionally intense. For many divine feminines, this phase is full of obsession, anxiety, spiritual overwhelm, and desperation for answers. It's also the stage most easily hijacked by misinformation, false gurus, and spiritual bypassing. What's really happening? This is not romantic confusion. It's a soul crack, exposing you to the divine blueprint you've forgotten but never lost. You're not crazy. You're being initiated. Let's talk about the normalization of pain when toxic dynamics masquerade as devotion. The phases of separation we experience are not exclusive to the twin flame path. They echo through countless human relationships across all walks of life. But what makes them particularly tricky within the spiritual context is the mythic narrative wrapped around them. We need to remember, just because a dynamic is a part of a spiritual journey does not mean it should be accepted unconditionally. True twin flame love is not about tolerating dysfunction. It's about alchemizing it. In the early years of my divine mission with twin flames, I saw the need for connection, for collective understanding, for deep reality checks, not to burst bubbles, but to fan the flame of the refining fire and a functional divine path out of the dark night. I knew when I started my journey, when I started my ministry, and when I started my own path of ascension alongside my partner, that the energy signature of early separation could not be cleared or transmuted without the proper tools to help the first awakened twin answer the questions of where is my person and what is this journey? Friend, you are not wrong for wanting them, but your soul also wants you. And the path to reunion, if it is to be sacred, must begin there. This phase is not about forgetting them, it's about remembering yourself. That's the version of you this journey came to activate. That's the version your union requires. Okay, so what about those late separation and pseudo-union energies? Well, those are all a part of energy signature 2. And it's at this point on the journey where you have to decide between your soul mission and the obsession trap. What if the person you're chasing was never the destination, but the awakener of your divine path? In the mid-stage of the journey, many divine feminines get stuck in what we call the obsession trap, a pattern of spiritual codependency disguised as romantic devotion. Our teaching on energy signature 2 reveals how to shift from looping thoughts about union to aligned actions towards your soul mission. We examine the difference between emotional fixation and energetic focus, and you'll learn how your longing is actually a spiritual compass pointing you toward purpose, not pain. We talk about things that other people don't want to talk about, like how spiritual obsession blocks your gifts, how to reclaim your energy from false twins and false paths, discovering your true spiritual archetype, because, by the way, there's 4 types of twin flames. We also talk about the difference between surrender and bypassing, and aligning devotion with discernment. The painful reality of this phase is that for many twin flames, this is where the journey gets really heavy, not because of fresh heartbreak, but because of spiritual fatigue. You've already done the meditations, you've tried the surrender, you've released and returned, chased and retreated. Still, union feels out of reach, and the deeper purpose of it all remains a mystery. This is often where people fall out of alignment, not because they failed, but because they've outgrown the version of the journey they were sold. You'll really know you're in the thick of energy signature 2 when you start feeling emotionally disconnected from the journey itself, from the connection itself, when you start to become even more suspicious of online gurus and all the algorithms that keep you looping. You'll feel confused about your next steps, even as you spiritually awaken. You might even be discouraged or ashamed over how long you've waited and invested. And you start to get a little bit more curious instead of frustrated about divine timing, soul contracts, karmic roles, and false twins. Everybody always wants to know, what is pseudo-union? Pseudo-union is often misunderstood, primarily because it feels so close to the real thing. There may be communication, there may be physical connection, there may even be declarations of love, but underneath it all, the spiritual blueprint of the union has not been fully activated because the soul level integration hasn't occurred. It's not false, it's not without value, but it is incomplete. It's a holding pattern, a divine pause where both counterparts are close enough to taste union, yet far enough from self-recognition to truly embody it. In these phases of separation, the missing link is spiritual integration. And with pseudo-union, the heart may be engaged, but the third eye and crown remain underdeveloped in terms of union consciousness. There may be love, but without the deep remembrance of divine origin and shared mission. As my ministry expanded globally, I noticed the collective expansion within my own tribe. The questions typically begin to shift as early separation energies were shed, revealing late separation energies and a whole new perspective. We stop thinking small, we start seeing the world for what it really is, and then we look at our counterpart and realize there is so much more to this story. It is at this point that every first awakened partner is ready to answer the questions, why am I here and what am I meant to do? Questions they observed rolling by in their mind for years, but only now have come to understand the truth is there. The answers do exist. First awakened twins in energy signature 2 need the right tools because they're probably experiencing spiritual burnout, identity crisis, doubts about their twin flame's authenticity, emotional detachment from the journey, and a deep desire to stop obsessing and start understanding. The Ascension Pathway tools meet you at that exact crossroads. They don't just give you hope, they give you a framework, a language, and a map. Because let's be honest, you don't need another tarot reading right now. You need a new paradigm. The answers you've been waiting for aren't coming from them. They're coming from within you. And these resources were designed to help you remember what you already know. You are the prophecy. You are the teacher and the student. You are not just someone waiting for love. You are someone love has been waiting on. Start there and watch everything change. But what about reconciliation and reunion energies? Well, that can be found in Energy Signature 3. High-level divine feminines are focused on how to align with union energy, not just wait for it. They're preparing. This final segment of the journey is about realignment, stepping fully into our union frequency, regardless of what our counterpart is doing. We explore the difference between energetic union and physical reunion, and why your soul path must come first. Because this is a stage where you stop asking, when will they come back? And start asking, what am I building for us to come home to? A lot of twin flames ask me, what is reconciliation? Reconciliation occurs when twin flames come back together to repair, explore, or redefine their connection. It's often marked by emotional honesty, vulnerability, and a strong desire to make things right. However, reconciliation is not always built to last because it's not yet rooted in shared mission or divine alignment. It may still carry unhealed emotional wounding, latent attachment patterns, conditional love or expectations, and avoidance of individual work. It can feel blissful, especially after a painful separation, but reconciliation still operates within the dualistic framework of right versus wrong, or mine versus yours, or together versus apart. It is love returning to the table, but not yet ready to be served to the world. But what about union? What is blissful union? Well, reunion is not just the return of love, it's the activation of love's higher function. It's when both counterparts have completed enough inner union to step into shared service, not just shared affection. And this distinction matters. Many divine feminines believe they've reunited when what they've actually entered is reconciliation. And there is hope, there's contact, passion, even cohabitation. But without a shared purpose, the energy will stagnate. And in that stagnation, they may stop growing spiritually, delay their soul mission, or stay stuck in loops of emotional highs and lows. It's here we must realize that reconciliation is the invitation, but reunion is the initiation. By the time I was in my own state of blissful union, I noticed it was not at all what I expected. It was nothing like all the guides and gurus had told me, in good and bad ways. And there was something missing, something no one ever told me I would need. So I created it, and I finally understood the questions my soul had been asking back when I was in Energy Signature 2, but didn't quite believe they could be answered. I had been divinely ordained for such a time as this to bring reunion out of the 5D into the physical world and to show other people the exact blueprint. Watching thousands of clients answer the questions, what are my gifts and how can I be of service to divine, completely altered my spiritual DNA. I thought I knew the path to reunion. I thought I understood what was happening, but it wasn't until I saw the energy unfold the exact same way, time and time again, in all my reconciled clients. It wasn't until the emails and the calls began rolling in that I realized the secret road to the Temple of Divine. The Ascension Pathway revealed itself to me, unfurling slowly until I could see it for what it truly was. And the weirdest part of it all, the puzzle pieces were there all along, in the root of divine guidance I'd been channeling to save lives around the world. Reunion was never meant to be the final step, and someone out there wanted us to reach for the sky instead of shooting for the moon. But imagine you're in a classroom, you're surrounded by your fellow students, and a teacher walks through the door. They say, "Everyone, let's count to 3. Ready?" And you, looking around, think, all right, so I don't know what we're doing here, but everybody else probably does, so I'm gonna just join in. And so you do it. 1, 2, 3. And then the teacher walks out the door. Like, what the? That is exactly what all the guides and gurus have been doing to all of us. There's something missing. The boom. 1, 2, 3, boom. Energy Signature 1 is the first step on the evolutionary path, the Ascension Pathway. We're in that separation energy, and the goal is inner union. And then as we enter Energy Signature 2, we begin to reconnect with our higher self and sometimes even our person in the physical. Maybe reconciliation happens. And the thing that everyone's been shooting for, reunion, is just mission alignment. It's not the boom. Divine partnership and the sacred co-creation, that's the boom. That's the energy. That's the thing that no one told you were really fighting for. That's why not every reconciliation leads to reunion, but every true union is preceded by reconciliation. When we shift from union chasing to mission living, everything changes. When divine feminines arrive in Energy Signature 3, they're no longer just healing, they're building. They're not just loving, they're leading. This phase is about what you do after the pain. And when you've come back to yourself, the divine is asking, now that you remembered who you are, what will you do with it? If you're confused about your current energy signature, or if you're a first awakened twin fully aware you've been sliding back and forth because you aren't exactly sure how to anchor yourself in the blissful peace of reunion vibrations, the Sacred Partner Ascension Pathway is everything you never knew you needed and more. This self-guided healing program is devoted to guiding the divine feminine and our more rare first awakened divine masculines out of the fog and into the light. This pathway will guide you from pain to purpose, from separation to service, from confusion to co-creation. This is not just a course, it's a soul-coded map for the journey of a lifetime. All brought to you by a real, reunited twin flame, tested and tried by thousands of first awakened twins in the global collective, and gathered during one of the most prolific reunion seasons in our generation's history. If you're tired of asking, is reunion here yet? Will they come back now that I've surrendered? Am I finished with all this work? This pathway can help you answer questions like, how do I honor what I've become? How can I serve the light with integrity? And what can we build with or without physical union? Because you didn't come here just to find your person. You came here to become your person, to reclaim your voice, to walk in your purpose, to prepare the garden for when your counterpart is finally ready to plant with you. And until then, you'll build something sacred, eternal, and wildly divine, because that's who you are now. That's the light you carry. Let's get to work. Union energy is not about arrival, it's about assignment. The divine feminine who shoots for divine co-creation with divine will land in reunion energies. It's just the way it works. But you have to believe that. You have to believe that you'll reach that stage, because the divine feminine who reaches this stage is not the same one who cried on the floor during stage 1. They're a keeper of prophecy, a weaver of legacies, an ambassador of a higher order. High vibrational divine feminines carry the codes of creation, the language of remembrance, and the authority to plant what will feed the collective soul. And whether her counterpart joins her or not, she is home. If you're interested in learning more, you can get our 3-part separation masterclass as a free bonus with the full 7-phase Sacred Partner Ascension Pathway. Or you can access the teaching as a part of the New Wave Prophecy Twin Flame Searching for Truth series. This video found you for a reason. If you need twin flame healing, this pathway is the way to go. Because the twin flame journey is not a linear love story. It's a soul initiation. It breaks you open, calls you deeper, and refines you through every energetic phase of connection, separation, awakening, and alignment. Most spiritual paths don't speak the language of the twin flame experience, but ASCENT does. This program doesn't just offer tools, it offers spiritual scaffolding, a path designed for those walking through divine fire. Whether you're asking, where is my person, or what am I here to do for the divine? This step-by-step, self-guided journey holds space for your emotional healing, energetic alignment, and spiritual empowerment. The twin flame experience was never just about love. It was about becoming. And this bundle is your spiritual support system, designed to guide you into remembrance, alignment, and mission. The pathway is open. Will you walk it?